Hello and welcome. So we're going to go over sort of clearance levels today. So sort of if you had an admin and a regular user, what they can access and what they can't access. In the last video, I did say we were going to go over a console.log that I did on JWT info. And you can see that right down here. You can see that the JSON web token, when it's decoded, has the user ID. I think this is when it was initiated and when the token expires. So that's what we get there, and that's why we're able to pass jwt.info.id. And then what we have is the request user, and you can see that we attached everything to that, that being secret content. So request user, this console log, is giving us back the ID of the user, the email of the user, and that's all the information we have on it. We also have the version right there as well. So perfect, that is all set up right. Now, we want to protect routes for certain people. So certain people should have access to a route and certain people should not have access to a route. And what we need to do is start in our schemas. So schemas and user, head over there. And we have email and password. We need to make one more called clearance. And in clearance, have a type of string, the default. Let's take the default level 1. We can name this anything we want. And I'm going to show you one more value here. It's the enum. So the enumerated list value. So the enum here, level 1 we want. Let's say level 2 is also something. And then we'll make sure these are all individual strings. Cool. And then we'll make one more called admin. I don't know if we'll even get to using that, but here are the 3 that we've defined. You could define anything you want here. You could have 45 different levels of protection on your site for different people if you want that. But this list makes it so that it will reject anything that comes in, not saying level 1, level 2, or admin. So there's our default. And I'm going to reverse these just so I think that makes more sense. So it says it's a type string. Here are what it can be. It's going to default to level 1. So if we make a new user now, it should have a clearance level. The user that we make should have a clearance level of level 1. So let's save this and let's make a user. So we'll go to sign up and we'll make user 3. Great, so we were created. The user was created. And we could check that. We haven't used this enough. This is very helpful, and it will be very helpful through these lessons. So here, the first thing I want to do is get my collection going. We downloaded this quite a bit ago. It's called MongoDB Compass. If you don't have this, that's okay for right now. I'm just going to show you how this works in the database, how it looks. So we should go into users, and we have 2 users. So here's a user I used to have. User 2 has an email and password. Now user 3 has a clearance level, and we defaulted it to level 1. We could see that right here. Okay, so that's exactly what we want now. We want to have a clearance leveled user for user 3. This brings up a problem with people making users in our database and then giving their own clearance level to it, but we'll go over that as well. We'll create a blacklist where they can't inject their own clearance level in. We'll make sure that when they're pushing clearance level, we always say no, that can't be added, and the server will reject it before it gets to the database. But that would be a blacklist, we'd call it. Now, let's head over to actually building a function for this clearance level here. So we'll head into our auth controller. Just head all the way down to the bottom. If you're at the top, down to the bottom. And we're going to make one more exports. And that'll be .clearance level. Just for the sake of, because we have a few things ahead of us, I want to make sure that we put this decrypt. This isn't middleware here. Can we just move this now? We stay organized, all our middleware stays together, and this can come up with everything else under JWT. Perfect. When we do a clearance level, what we're going to do is define the level of clearance necessary in order to view the content. So to do that, we need to take options, not just do a normal request response function like we've been doing. I'm going to show you the docs on that real quick because it does look a little strange when I get started in it here. We're going to have, you don't need to see the module exports really, but that's what we're doing here. So we're exporting a function and we can pass options into the function. So up right on top, we can pass options here. And the options are going to be the clearance levels. So we'll pass clearance levels there and make sure you use the spread operator so we spread all of the clearance levels across that. Now, what needs to happen next is we create the function, and inside there we can return another function with request, response, and next. So that's what we're going to do, is create your function, and inside there return, and right away request, response, next, close it, and make another function. Ooh, that is not a fat arrow, that is a skinny arrow. And make another function. So there we are. That's how you do that. It looks a little weird, but everything that we do in this return here is what's going to be actually sent back. And we have access to clearance levels that we can put in a different portion of the app, which we'll do in one moment. Before we finish this function, let's see where we're getting all these clearance levels from, so it makes a little more sense to write this. We'll go to our routes, our auth routes, and now we have this auth controller that is securing this secret content. But what if we want the secret content to be allowed only if you're clearance level 1, not if you're just a regular user? So how about router.use auth controller dot clearance level, and in there pass in the clearance level 1. So if you're not a clearance level 1, you shouldn't be able to get to this route. And now we have this clearance level to write. Before I even go there, one more thing. The secure, once we get past secure, we're passing all of the user data. The user data is ripped off of the JSON Web Token. We get the ID from there. We hit our database. We pull all of the user info. We take all of that user info. We attach it to the request as request.user. And then we're going to hit clearance level. Now we'll have access to request.user. So now in our function itself, let's get started in there. We're going to write clearance level dot includes, and all you have to pass here is request.user.clearance. I think it's just clearance that we named it, not clearance level, so don't let it autocorrect you to the wrong thing. Now we're doing a ternary here. So let's just put the question. This is a bit long to make a one-line ternary, so I'm going to try to make this a few lines. I'm going to say next. So if the clearance level that we got here, and there could be more than one, that's why there's the ... So it can be 14 different clearance levels. Say you worked for an organization that has a CEO, a CFO, and you want to make sure they all have the clearance level for this, and you have them labeled CFO, CEO, whatever it might be, you can give them all in here. It doesn't have to just be one thing. So if clearance level dot includes, so if anything in clearance level includes request.user.clearance, which in this one case is going to be level 1, which we can see right over here, dot clearance level 1, then we will just go to next, which means you pass this middleware and you get right out of it. Now, what if it isn't in the list? Then we want to say res.status 401 and then JSON, and we'll give them the same story. It is unauthorized in status. We'll give a slightly different message because I want a message that says clearance level. So content not available at your current clearance level. You can make that say whatever you want. Perfect. So that's all this is going to do here. It's going to take all the clearance levels. It's going to return this function down here, which acts if all the clearance levels include the user's clearance level. If it does, you can move on and dispense that information. If it doesn't, send back an unauthorized status and this message so they know they can't get to that content. So that's clearance level for us, and we should be able to try this out right away because I have two different users in my database over here, one without a clearance level and one with. Right now, I'm on the one with the clearance level, so let's do that one first. It should just give us the secret. Let's take a quick look. It does. We could see a status of 200 and secret content shown. So that's not too much because it doesn't look like we did anything. But now let's log out, and we're going to log back in as user 2 who doesn't have a clearance level, and let's see if he gets the content shown to him or her. Logged out. Now I have this user 2, and we can log in as this user, but I am a little worried about the clearance level of this user because we defaulted to level 1. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to give him a clearance level. No, this is a little strange, but this is probably how you make some of your higher clearances anyway. Someone who really has access to the back end like this. We'll add a field after password. I'll call it clearance. And in there, we're going to say level 0. So that person shouldn't have clearance. Click the update, and let's check that out now. I will log in as user 2. Should have the cookie now. Yes, I have 3 cookies. Now, I should not get this secret message because I have a different clearance level. And we do not. We have a 401 unauthorized, and we should have that text that I wrote in their content not available at your current clearance level. So that is perfect. Now we could set up different access for different people using just this. All we need to do is go into our routes, before our route, secure it, and after secure, name our clearance levels, and we're good to go. We're going to do a video on blacklists so we can protect our data a little bit more and make sure people aren't giving themselves clearance levels. So follow me along to that one, and great job on this one. I will see you soon.